Welcome to the Deepak Saini Show.
He said he gon' huff and puff and blow my mind up. You meet the island girl, she might dirty wine up.
Welcome to the Deepak Saini Show. Today I have a huge treat and a bit of a change. Usually I start off by saying, hey, thanking Jxxiii for the intro music. But today I have Jxxiii here as my guest, and I am very, very excited. So my guest today is Joyce Okezie, also known as Jxxiii. That is her stage name. We'll get more into that later. So you'll see it in the show notes. It's a J, an XXIII, so like Roman numerals, pronounced Jxxiii. Joycelyn, or Jxxiii, is a Nigerian-American rapper, songwriter, and performing artist. The lyrical vocalist serves rhymes and smooth, chill melodies. That's what attracted to her in the first place and why I asked her to do the intro music. Her musical sound and style described as 90s boom-bap infused with melodic neo-soul, and her Nigerian background and worldly perspective attracts global listeners. And I've certainly been following her, and I know she's got followers from all over the world, and she's got a fan for me. And if we'll talk about it too, but the song that we play in the intro and the outro, my girls also love that song as well, my little girls. So Jxxiii or Joycelyn, welcome to the Deepak Saini Show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Deepak. Pleasure to be on.
I was thinking, do you remember how we first met? Do you remember that story? Can I share it?
Sure. Yes.
So this is probably maybe a little over 2 years ago, or about 2 years ago, I would say. I was doing some, I don't know, for lack of a better term, cold outreach on LinkedIn. I connected with Joycelyn, and we had a exploratory conversation, and working together in a coaching capacity didn't work out, but she shared her music, and I'm like, and her new music video, which had just come out, and I was like blown away by it. I was like, that was so cool. And then when I decided to start the podcast last year, and I was thinking of music, I'm like, she came right to mind, and she's so gracious to offer up her song for the intro and the outro music. So that's kind of how that all happened. So I'd love to know about let's go back to the beginning. Go back to the beginning, growing up. Was music a big part of your childhood, or kind of walk the audience through a little bit of that?
Yeah, I can say that music was definitely a big part of my childhood. Just growing up, going to church. I would say it started off as just hearing like my mom sing like gospel songs, and at home, that was probably like the first music I was exposed to, because it wasn't really a good thing to listen to hip hop like in my household, because I wasn't really exposed to that, me and my siblings. So growing up, I would say becoming a teenager, I would actually have to sneak and watch BET just to know what was going on, or just be exposed to hip hop. But my mom would listen to like soft rock, alternative music, Nigerian gospel, and alternative. So I wasn't really exposed to like hip hop until I really started listening to it on my own. But I would say I grew up in a musical household, but I'm probably I would say the only one of my siblings and relatives that I know that actually actively pursues music.
Awesome. And you're in Atlanta, Georgia, right? That's where you're based?
Correct.
That's
Atlanta.
that's a hotbed for hip hop music. Definitely one of the areas in the U.S. So who were some of your early maybe inspirations when you finally found hip hop?
I would say like who I was actually exposed to MC wise, would have to be like Kanye West. He was probably the first CD I purchased, The College Dropout. My dad purchased it for me when I was in 6th grade. T.I., just being from Atlanta, T.I. was cool. I was also influenced by, I would say, R&B, like Maxwell, like Neo Soul, Erykah Badu.
Okay.
Lauryn Hill, I would say I got into Lauryn Hill later on, but just right off the gate, I was exposed to like lyrical artists like Common, Outkast, Kanye, and just the everyday like rappers we would hear. But I was very selective on like just artists with a message. And
Sure.
I would say the modern hip hop didn't really like touch my soul, because it was what was being promoted didn't really resonate with me. So I always tried to stick and be inspired by artists who were spreading a message.
Love that. I love that. And I'm a little bit older than you, so my hip hop tastes go a little bit further back than some of those, but those are also obviously awesome musicians as well. Tell me a little bit more about your music career, and we're going to talk a little bit about your corporate career a little bit later. But let's talk about your music career. Where are you at right now, and what are you promoting, if anything?
Sure. So yeah, my music career, like my start in the music or just being around engineers, artists, or people who do music actually started online. I would say when I was growing up, actually as a teenager, just getting into like the social media space, or like back then, I started discovering music on YouTube. And from there, I just started to come across artists that I never heard of who had great music. And I started a YouTube channel when I was 15, just finding artists online and just putting videos together, countdown videos of, I think back then was like 2008. So I was doing like 2007, 2008. I think I probably did it till like maybe 2011, but I would like each year or each quarter, I would do like countdown videos of who I thought were the best hip hop or up and coming R&B artists of that time or of that year. And those videos got pretty popular. So just seeing like the attention that and clout that came from that, I was like, okay, I'm already in the music business. I'm around a lot of talent. I listen to a lot of music. And I think even before I started doing that, I was writing poetry, but I never at that time saw myself as a recording artist or someone who could actually pursue that and be acknowledged or respected or actually heard. So my beginning was actually on the promotion marketing side. I was actually through my YouTube channel was picked up by um, an A&R that was a producer for Bad Boy Records in the 90s. He liked what I was doing. His name is Rich Younglord, and he reached out to me and he wanted me to talent scout for him. And this is when I was a teenager, just just doing little things on the internet, and it was cool. So I took on a project, and this is when I was still in high school, and that went really well. And he liked people that I would find for him. And when I graduated from college, I still kept in touch with him, and through that connection, I was able to become an A&R for another A&R at Atlantic Records. But even through those times, that was probably, I would say, 2008 to 2015, I still wanted to create my own lane into the music industry aside from working under people. So when I was 19 at Valdosta State, I was still wanted to be ingrained in music. So I decided to start my own company, my own music company. And I came up with the name CAQ. So that stands for Crown All Queens Records. So that's what I decided to call my company. And since then, I've been pushing that brand, putting out music under that brand. I started a website in 2016. So under that brand, I was actually promoting other artists, and I developed a site that was similar to, I would say, Ear Milk or Pigeons and Planes. That it was like a music blog that people could come to and discover like the latest music. So what I was and latest independent artists. So what I was doing on my YouTube channel back in the day, I transferred that to an actual website with ads and SEO. So it was really plugged in, and I was able to run that for about 5 years. And I actually had like a team of journalists who would like submit articles on different artists or up and coming albums. And I was really proud of that project. But even through doing that, I was like, I can't run away from me pursuing music and actually being a songwriter, because even though I was writing and recording, I still wasn't really pushing myself. I was pushing other people. I was trying to stay behind the scenes because I feel like I wouldn't say I had a fear, but I just felt like, okay, first of all, I'm from a Nigerian household. Like people aren't going to support me doing music. They rather me work a 9 to 5 or just have a career that, is like astonishing, like a doctor, something that's like, wow, like you're a lawyer, engineer. And it's like being an artist was like, eh. But since, I had this like long trajectory with music, it's just something that I can never sit down. So when I was in Valdosta State, I met an engineer named Brian Rivera, who's actually a student there as well. He's from Puerto Rico, but I think he grew up in Georgia just like me. So we were able to make acquaintances, and I used to go over his apartment to record. And I probably did about 3 projects with him through the course of my college career. So when I graduated and moved back to Atlanta, I had like a big catalog of recorded music, and I actually started just putting out music and using what I learned from marketing and YouTube to implement and push my career low key. So here we are now, and I'm still out here, still pushing it. And that
Very
was just
cool.
like my story and my journey up until where I'm at today.
So many things there. So first of all, definition. What does AR mean, or A&R? What does
Oh,
that
A&R.
mean? Yeah.
A&R stands for artist and repertoire.
Okay. Okay. So it's basically like finding new talents, essentially, for those who might not. That kind of right?
I would say that would be one of the job roles in A&R, but it's like a department. You could say can call themselves an A&R, but can actually be a name of a job role or title. You could be like a DJ. To me, an A&R is just someone who is really good at, like, has a good eye and ear, and also helps other artists put their albums together and can structure it strategically on what they feel aligns with their fan base and how the artist's image is. But yeah, A&R is just someone who has a good eye and ear, and
Got it.
who can actually you can actually hold different roles as an A&R. Like, you can be an A&R but also still be a songwriter, photographer, just someone who's really like a creative director but in tune with music. Like, you're an engineer, but you coach artists on how to properly run a career or something like that.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, because it's a term you hear a lot about, and of course, I'm not in the music business, so I just want to thank know for sure. So thank you
Well,
for
they
the
say the A&R is dying though because of the internet. I will say that.
Interesting. Maybe we'll
Spotify.
come back to that one. The other one last thing I'll just say, just to going back to I'm a little bit older than you. You were saying, you did your video countdowns. I equated that to back in the day when I would make my mixtapes. It's the whatever 15 or 20 years later version of the mixtapes I used to make for myself. Um, I do want to talk about and we've gotten to know each other over time as well, and we follow each other on social media. And I do want to talk a little bit about your health and wellness journey, but I think maybe we just talked about your music career. Maybe you can talk about your corporate career and how you balance, your passion for music and running, your own business on the music side with what you do corporately.
Definitely. Yeah, I would love to explain that.
So what's your 9 to 5, or people might call it that, or
Yes, yes. Actually, because since I was a teenager, like, I've been in music, but it was still an expectation to get a formal education or just, to have a role in society. So I always told my parents I wanted to be a doctor when I grew up, but I didn't know if that was what they wanted or what I really wanted. So by the time I got to college, I majored in biology and I did well. But halfway through, I decided to change my major to marketing because it just felt like I'm a business person and it's just aligned with what I was already doing. So I did that. And that set me up for like account management, marketing, mass media roles. But I always found myself into like the sales, inside sales, customer care realm when it came to corporate. So my first job was actually working for a plastics manufacturer who would make medical devices and put them into like hospitals and things like that. A lot of big clients, and working for like big companies like Fortune 400 and 500 companies at an office. Um, but and I did well and I met great people, met expectations, satisfied clients. But at the end of the day, I just started to feel like, okay, this is not 100% my passion and my purpose. I'm just, one, gaining experience, and two, having money at the end of the day to pay my bills. So throughout my corporate experience, I would say I did gain a lot of knowledge. And, I think I'm thankful to my education and experience, but I always felt like, this wasn't 100% for me. But I've always kept myself open to the job market while still pursuing music, just because I like to be realistic. And I never think I'm above anything because I always feel like you can learn from situation or
sure.
experience. So yeah, I've had a journey, like just working with Porex in 2017. That was my first job out of college, doing sales, account management. And then I went to go work for their sister company, Purifil, and I did that, and it was great. Basically, like, just giving my time and building these companies. After that, I wanted to pursue my master's degree, so I joined the National Guard in 2019, and been doing that. I actually just retired in March.
Oh, okay. I
So
didn't know that. I was going to bring up your National Guard. That's so awesome.
yeah, definitely. So it's been a journey, because even through me being in the National Guard, I still was working at Morgan Stanley. So I've had these jobs, but it was never an instance where I stayed with the company more than 1.5 years or more than 2 years, because my life, I'm like I'm changing, I'm traveling, I'm doing things, but when things run its course, it's just time to move on. And just just being different from my parents' generation, because they grew up in a time where people were able to hold on to jobs like 5+ years, 10 years, 20 years. But my experience it hasn't really been like that. And I do hear like about millennials who, I'm not going to say aren't able to keep jobs, but when things aren't really fueling their fire, they just move on to the next one. So that's kind of been my experience. Even though I've kept jobs and had a great corporate career, I always actually envisioned myself working for record labels, because that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I thought. But I just felt like I was met with a lot of red tape. But to me, it just shows me like God had bigger plans, and it wasn't really meant for me to work for an Atlantic or a Universal or something like that. But I always felt like, okay, that's what I'm going to do, because I'm already a self-made A, and I've already had the experience. I've already worked with people at record labels and been in these buildings. So I can say at this time, even though I've been an artist, I've also been a student of the music business, just being on that side and being able to see things that I can implement to my career and also advise other artists. So it's like, I know I would be a good asset to the music business, but I also understand that that's a structure of its own. So I can just say in my corporate career, I've been able to work for great companies. I've been able to meet great colleagues. I got hired by E-Trade, who was purchased by Morgan Stanley in 2020. So even working for that company was like a start of something new, like my first financial job, like outside of the like manufacturing supply chain environment, just to switch to financial and just use like my experience from my experiences in college education. It was still a good experience, just like the National Guard was. But at the end of the day, music and just getting like that message out, and also growing with what the music industry keeps adapting into, has always like been something to me as an artist, that creative, that's always kind of kept me like interested. So that's just something that I'm not putting down. Even though I've had great jobs and been in the service, been in the military, worked for big banks, it's like, yeah, like I love music, and it's just an adventure at this point.
Very cool. Very cool. So I kind of teased it before. Would love to hear, and I know a little bit because we've talked before, but for the audience, tell us, share a little bit about your health and wellness journey.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, health and wellness. I would say I really started learning more about health, and just being more exposed to it around like 2018, 2017, 2018, that time. Um, Actually, I found out that I was having like bad digestive issues, like looking back on it from what I was like eating and like my habits. So like when I was in school and college, just being away from home for the first time and exposed to like a variety of different foods, you know, I was like eating on campus and going to like certain restaurants. And then looking back on it, I was like, huh, I didn't really have the healthiest habits. And then when I got out of school, I was like, I want to change, I want to eat better. And I feel like even at that time when I started having those thoughts, it still wasn't as a thing as it is today, like health and wellness. But I knew that it was the right thing and it was gonna like elevate me. So even though I can say I'm still on my journey, I would say that I've come a long way to unlearn habits and I would say generational things that, we like to say like, oh, it runs in my family, but it's really just about being disciplined and just breaking those chains of maybe what your grandmothers or your grandfathers or your mothers and fathers are eating, or stuff that's like rampant in the Black community, because we know like our ancestors have been through a lot of trauma and stress, so we might be predisposed to like high blood pressure or diabetes even if you're healthy, or you can say you jog and you run. I think it's just a balance about really being tapped in. So there's things that my parents weren't able to teach me because they didn't really know. So now I'm just looking back like, okay, what is my blood type? Okay, what foods do I need to be eating? And just really listening to my body. So I can say over the years of just, dealing with like GERD and acid reflux, it's really like these diseases, what I've learned can go away, but it really just takes a lesson of discipline and not really eating the same foods and changing your lifestyle. So like just with me learning that, I've been learning to correct certain things just by, being intentional and taking the time to like be present, even if I am working out, and also like acknowledging the energy that I allow in my space and whether it's positive or not, because a lot of it can be mental. And like I said, like being a person of color, a lot of us grew up in households that were very traumatic, or, someone's just dealing with a lot and it's like it gets transferred to you, especially if you're empathic. It's like you're kind of forced to take on things, or just let's just say guilt or shame or things that people don't talk about. So it's like it comes out in ways that are like narcissistic. So it's like even if you've dealt with narcissism or childhood trauma, that shows up as a this emotional dis-ease that causes distress.
Sure.
And you'll be like a certain age and you'll be like, why? Like, I'm healthy. I do this, I do that. Like, why am I dealing with like an autoimmune disease? Like, what is this? So what I've learned on my health journey is like just about being grounded. And also like a lot of us were raised to go to work every day, Monday through Friday, and really not really tap into ourselves. And we're just always on this rat race. So I feel like now there's a big push with health and wellness because people are starting to realize that there needs to be more of a balance. So I would say through my journey of just dealing with like digestive issues, I've just learned balance and just being good to my body.
Yeah, I love, there's so many good takeaways there. So I love, you use the words like balance and be intentional, and, those, and I certainly believe in, generational trauma and those sorts of things. The other thing too that you brought up, and I'm of East Indian background, and I think with many ethnic cultures, this is very similar. It's like we're trying to eat the same foods our ancestors ate, but it's not the same material, right? We're not cooking with the same oils. We're not using the same kind of flour that we would have, or whatever the case may be, right? Or even the vegetables, or these aren't the same vegetables grandma ate with or made with, food with, so there's some of that as well. So yeah, really appreciate you sharing that, your story there as well. Um, Curious, but I'll just go back to National Guard for just a second, because I've seen some pictures on social media and stuff where like you're in like helicopters and like in front of tanks and stuff. What was your I don't know if I'm using the right terminology, but like what was your specialty in the National Guard?
Yeah, no problem. And yes, it's called MOS. I think it's military occupational specialty. But my MOS was a 15 Papa, so 15P, which is a aviation flight specialist or uh, aviation operations specialist.
Okay,
If that
what does that mean? I don't know what that means.
so, so that's ground operations. So we're actually on the ground. Even though I was in the aviation unit, I wasn't in the plane because I'm actually working hand in hand with the pilots and communicating with them through a radio, and just tracking the trip, making sure everything goes
Got it.
right, and being on standby if anything goes wrong.
Got it. Got it. Well, very cool. And all those roles, right, are in any organization, every role has its has to play its part, right? So it's a big team for sure. So maybe sticking back to the health thing that we are just talking about. What does your you've obviously gone through a long journey and have a lot of awareness over the years. What does your morning routine look like these days?
My morning routine, what I've tried to do is keep my phone like far far away from me because I know that's a struggle with a lot of people, but just keep it in the next room, but still close enough that I hear it as an alarm. So just waking up, I pray, I set my intentions for the day. I go into the mirror and I say affirmations. Like, and going back to the childhood trauma, affirmations are a good thing to say because it helps you unlearn things that are not true about yourself. So it's basically programming your self-conscious to accelerate you and actually just speak wellness and goodness into your life. So yes, just about 10 minutes or less of affirmations just saying like, I am worthy, I am beautiful, I am strong, I am confident, I am moving, I am going forward. Just anything that I feel like I may be battling with, I just try to redirect that with my affirmations. So definitely get my heart chakra going with just saying those affirmations. And then I just set timers on my phone because I know like when a lot of people wake up, they set their alarm to a certain time where they can like have enough time to get ready. But I like to like just at least set time to like listen to frequencies and meditate, even if it's for 10 minutes, just to kind of like wake me up, get me in the spirit, say my affirmations, pray. And then I always make sure that I drink water in the morning. Um, Not too much, but just enough to hydrate and like flush everything. So these days, before I was doing like spring water with lime, but now I do spring water with chlorophyll.
Oh,
So
cool.
I drink the chlorophyll in the water because if I'm not getting enough greens in my diet, I know that I'm getting it through my water.
Yeah. Awesome.
So in the morning, yes, stretch, pray, drink, hydrate.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. Last question as we just sort of come to a wrap up here. What's one thing you wish from a health point of view that you started earlier or that you would go back and tell your younger self to do?
I would tell my younger self to fast at least 2 days out of the week, like, or just try to be intentional on intermittent fasting, like just being more disciplined with some type of fasting, um, some type of movement, just some type of exercise schedule, or just something that I push myself to do every day. And I mean, a lot of people didn't know, but I probably would have told my younger self to just stay away from like cheese and gluten, the way, you know what I mean, or just like
Yeah.
sugary stuff.
Very cool. Very cool. So we're gonna have all of J23's links. I mean, we have them every episode anyway to connect with her because she does the music. But we're gonna have more stuff. I'm gonna put a couple extra links in for some of the videos and stuff like that. And yeah, it'll be awesome. So everyone definitely go check those out for sure. And any last word of wisdom or golden nugget you like to give to the audience today?
Yes, health is wealth, and just be happy and make every day count. My name is J23. It was great talking with you today, Deepak. And I do have some music coming out this summer, another single, or maybe a couple singles. So I'm excited to share that with you guys.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, so definitely check it out. Connect with her on social, follow her, you subscribe to her YouTube channel, everything, and so you know when this new music comes out. So awesome. So everyone, don't forget also to check out today's sponsor. And thanks again for listening to the Deepak Saini Show. Exceptional results for the exceptional you. And as always, I'm going to throw it to J23 to guide us out with some music. So, Joycelyn, thank you for being here today. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate you back.
All right. Bye, everyone. See you in the next episode. This episode is brought to you by Optimizers. I love their product, Gluten Guardian. Now, I'm not celiac, but I am sensitive to gluten. And, sometimes you just can't avoid it. You're out. Sometimes you just want to celebrate that, birthday cake that your kids made, what have you. So I'll pop a couple of these pills just to help mitigate the inflammation and help break down the gluten that I may ingest sometimes. So Gluten Guardian also works with dairy as well. I take these occasionally, and click the link and you can save 10% off at least, if not more. Cheers.
Podcast produced by the Minted Green Company.